It's the International Soccer Preview, and we are Soccer Files Canada. Welcome to our continuation of Series 19, this one looking at the players of the 2023 Asian Cup. This episode is part 2 of the players of Qatar, final selections and starter predictions. Here we go. Hello, we are back for part 2 of our mediacast on the players of the 2023 Asian Cup. The final roster is released and we are looking at Qatar's selections. In part 1, we compiled a list of players and their likelihood of reaching the final squad, and that was based mostly on their participation usually over the past 2 years, and we considered a few other factors as well. Today we're going to review that list now that the final squads have been announced, and we promise to point out any surprises, notable non-selections, surprise inclusions, and new players. And we also said we will cover any injuries. So we'll do all those things as we go through the list again. And at the end, for fun, we'll also boldly predict our starting lineup in the Spotlight Review. Let's jump right in and look at the list that we compiled. So we start with a surprise, really. We had Carlos Queiroz as the manager going in, but in early December, he was fired. And the new manager coming in is Marquez Tintin. What am I talking about? Tintin Marquez. So we got to give some information on him because he is new. So we will only do that for the new candidate. So Marquez Tintin was manager of a club team in Qatar, Al Wakra in Qatar from 2018 to 2023, and then with some teams in Belgium and Spain, especially Espanyol, before that. So not a lot of experience as a manager, but I think the thing he brings is the Spanish style, which they were hoping to bring back to the squad. So Marquez Tintin, we will highlight him in green because we don't think they're going to fire him at this point. The tournament is just around the corner. Goalkeepers, let's review the candidates we had. So we had a definite candidate, Mashal Barsham, likely Salah Zakaria, 3 possible candidates in Saad El Sheib and Yusuf Hassan and Fahad Younes. And possible candidate Shihab Alethi. We do have one candidate to add who is named on the squad, and that is Saud Al-Qatar. Saud Al-Qatar, perhaps. Okay, let's see who made it then. So no surprise here, really. Our definite candidate, Michel Barsham, making it to the final squad there. I'm just going to actually move my screen a little bit just so I'm not looking over as far as I am. Next, we have Salah Zakaria. He did make the squad. And Saad Al-Sheib, the first of the possible candidates, also making the squad. None of the others made the squad. They did have a preliminary squad. It was just 27 players, so just one more than they needed. Teams are bringing 26 players to the squad, and that player that was cut is our new candidate, Saud El-Qatar. So nominated to the preliminary squad, but not making the final squad. So we have 3 goalkeepers then, Barsham, Zakaria, and Al-Sheib. And we'll talk about which one of those we think is going to start at the end. Let's move on to central defenders. And we had these candidates. We had Ahmed Suhai and Tariq Salman as definite candidates. Jassim Gaber as a likely candidate. Possible candidates, Boulam Kuki and Yusuf Ayman. And that's all we had, but we do have a couple to add that were named to the list. So the first one is actually not a new player, but a returning player, last appearing for the squad in November 2020. So that is quite a while ago, and is a shock selection here, or even a shock addition to the squad. And that's wwhy we didn't even have him on our list, because he had been gone too far from the team. Have I mentioned his name? I don't think so. It is Almadi Al-Mukhtar. And we will introduce him because he, well, we know now that there were only 27 players on the preliminary squad, and we know which one wasn't selected. And so we will be introducing these players. And I think I said I would introduce the new goalie, and then I didn't because he didn't make the final squad. So again, we'll just introduce those who do make the final squad. A second new candidate here is Brazilian-born Lucas Mendes. So two new central defenders added. So let's meet them. Almadi Al-Mukhtar, been with the team since 2012 with 39 caps and 3 goals, and he's 29 years old. He was part of the Copa America squad in 2019, but none of the other tournaments they played. He was part of the Asian Cup in 2015 too, as a starter. But not part of the 2019 Asian Cup squad, or the Gold Cup 2021 or 2023, or the World Cup 2022. So really kind of coming in from out of the cold is Almadi Al-Mukhtar. The other one is Lucas Mendes, and he may have just gotten his citizenship, I don't know. But he's 33 years old and getting his first cap in the last World Cup qualifier there at the end of November. And he plays for Al Wakra in Qatar. That's the same team that the new manager managed, and has played in different teams in Qatar since 2014. So he could have gotten his citizenship by now. But for some reason, he's just joining the team now. Prior to moving to Qatar, he played for Marseille in France for 2 years, and then for Coritiba in Brazil, where he was born. So there we go. Lucas Mendes added to the squad. And both of those are final selections. All of the players we talk about now will be. And among the players we had on our list before, bit of a shock for me. The first one, Ahmed Suhai, sometimes called Ahmed Suhai Al-Hamawendi, not selected. We had him as a definite candidate. I even searched online to see if there was an explanation. He's not on the injured list, and I couldn't even find mention of it. So he was a starter in the Gold Cup, but wasn't selected for the World Cup, so maybe we overestimated him as a definite candidate. The other definite candidate, though, Tarek Salman, was selected for the squad, and Jassem Gabber, our likely candidate, also selected. I'm personally happy that Boulam Kuki is back in the picture. We had him as a possible candidate because he had missed quite a few games over the period before, up to when we did the list. Yusuf Ayman, our other possible candidate, however, was not selected. So there we have it. Salman, Gabber, Kuki, Mukhtar, and Lucas Mendes make up the five central defenders. Let's move on to left backs. No new candidates here. We had Ahmed Homam as a definite candidate, possible candidate in Sultan Al-Braqi, and a possible but unlikely candidate in Abdel Karim Hassan, or Abdel Karim Hassan Fatlala. No surprise that Homam Ahmed made the squad. Also, the possible candidate Sultan Al-Braqi selected for the squad, and Abdel Karim Hassan not selected. Over to the right back position, we had Bassem Al-Rawi, really a central defender who has kind of taken over or played more as a right defender. We had him as a likely candidate, and Mosab Kadir, also a likely candidate. Just at the possible level, one of my favorites, Pedro Miguel, nicknamed Roro, had not played as much in the lead up to the Cup, so we only had him at the possible level. And we had possible but unlikely Ismail Mohammed there. Let's see who made it. Bassam Al-Rawi, no surprise that he was selected, our likely candidate. But the other likely candidate, Mosab Kadir, was not selected. And that may be because Pedro Miguel is back and selected for the squad. So I'm happy about that. And also our possible but unlikely candidate, Ismail Mohammed, selected for the squad. Actually, he wasn't initially selected there. Osama Al-Teri, who was named to the squad, withdrew injured, and his replacement was Ismail Mohammed. Okay, so just let's summarize. We have likely candidate Bassam Al-Rawi, Pedro Miguel, and Ismail Mohammed as our three right backs. I don't think I summarized left back, so I'll do that quickly. Homam Ahmed and Sultan Al-Breiki, the two selections there. Let's move on to the midfield and defensive midfielders. And we do have a new central midfielder. But let's look at defensive midfielder first. We had possible candidates Karim Boudayev and Abdullah Marafi, possible but unlikely Salem El Hajri, and then seemingly off the squad Ahmed Fadel. None of those were selected for the squad. But the highest level there was just possible, so no real shocks there. It's all central midfielders then. Let's take a look. We have a new candidate. I'll put him on the list before I forget to. And actually, it's the one who was who I just talked about, who was replaced by Ismail Mohammed. So he is a central midfielder, Osama Al-Teri. Not much point in introducing him because he's not selected, but he was a brand new player, 21 years old, and never been involved in a tournament. We also have a new player in Khalid Mohammed, and I'll talk about him a little bit later, but we'll put his name on the list as a new candidate. And let's look at the candidates we compiled in our list. So we had definite candidates in Ahmed Fatih and Mustafa Tarak. I see that he's now, or he is more often called Mustafa Mashal. So I might start referring to him as Mustafa Mashal. We had a likely candidate in Mohammed Wad, and then possible candidate in Ali Atadala, and possible but unlikely Asim Madibo. Let's go back and see who made it. We had Ahmed Fatih, who was selected for the squad, and same with Mustafa Mashal. So both of our definite candidates selected. Mohammed Wad also selected, our likely candidate, and even our possible candidate, Ali Asadallah, selected for the squad. And as we said, Osama Al-Teri initially selected, but injured, so we're going to put him in pink here, or we'll actually move him up to injury there. And then the new candidate, also actually a replacement, Khalid Mohammed. He didn't replace the player of the same position. It was a bit later when the forward Mohammed Muntari withdrew injured on January 2nd. It was Khalid Mohammed replacing him. So different position there, but Khalid Mohammed on the squad. All right, let's review then. We have no defensive midfielders. All of them are coded as central midfielders, and it is Ahmed Fatih and Mustafa Mashal, Mohammed Wad and Ali Asadallah, and then Khalid Mohammed are 5 central midfielders. Moving on to the left wing, We had yes, we had no candidates. Oh, sorry, we do have one candidate coded as a left midfielder, and it's Abdulaziz Hatem. And Abdulaziz Hatem was a likely candidate for us and was selected. So really part of the central midfield there. Okay, now we are ready to move on to left wingers, and we had a likely candidate in Hazem Ahmed Shehata and a possible candidate in Khaled Munir. And a bit surprisingly, Shihata did not make it. Again, we had considered him a likely candidate. He was part of the Gold Cup squad and had been fielded for 3 of their 4 games leading up to that, but otherwise is not a huge player for the team, so not selected there, a mild surprise. However, perhaps a bit more surprising is the selection of the possible but unlikely Khalid Munir. And by the way, if you want to know why we had these candidates coded as they are, possible but unlikely in this case, that's what we did in part 1 of the podcast. So we'll add the link to that in the show notes. We have a new candidate as a right winger. We're moving on to right wingers, and added to the list was Ahmed Al-Ghanehi. Ahmed Al-Ghanehi. So he is doesn't have any caps for the team. He's 23 years old and plays for Al Gharafa in Qatar. He was selected actually for the 60-man preliminary squad. That's about half the citizens in Qatar named to that squad, and he didn't make the final cut there. So that was his only appearance, but he's back as a new candidate, and we we know all the new candidates that we're adding to the list are selected, so he made the squad. The other right wingers we had were Al Abdullah Tamim as a possible candidate, and Naif Al Hadrami as a possible but unlikely candidate, and seemingly off the squad, Amro Surag. And I believe I said in the previous podcast that I wouldn't be surprised if they added a right winger because they were a bit thin in this area. So I feel good that I called that one. So Ahmed Al-Ghani selected for the squad. It suddenly strikes me that I didn't give the biographical information for some of the other new candidates, but rather than going back and do it, I think I will just forge on because none of those are starters. They're probably bench players or substitutes. So let's continue on to forwards and the attacking midfield. And we have 3 candidates, but actually 4. We're going to just pop back to right midfielders. And although Hassan Al-Haydos usually does start on the right, we're going to add him to the attacking midfielders list here. So we had 1 likely candidate in Akram Afif and 3 possible candidates in Abdullah Al-Arak, Hassan Al-Haydos, and Mahdi Salem. And Akram Afif is selected. I'm happy about that. He wasn't selected for the 2023 Gold Cup under manager Queiroz, although he had returned in September 2023. Anyway, I'm glad to see him back. Abdullah Al-Arak, the first possible candidate, not selected. Hassan Al-Haydos is selected and is captain of the team, and Mahdi Salem not selected. So our attacking midfielders, who usually actually play in different positions because they don't often use a formation with an attacking midfielder, but likely candidate Akram Afif and possible sorry, what am I talking about? Selected players Akram Afif and Hassan Al-Haydos. We're really going back to 2019 with this squad. There seems a definite kind of move to kind of get back to that with the Spanish manager and the return of some of the big players from that cup. Secondary strikers, we had none, so we moved directly to centre forwards. And we had two likely candidates in Almoez Ali and Yusuf Abdurisak, and then two possible candidates, Ahmed Ala Eldin and Mohamed Muntari. So Almoez Ali is selected for the squad. So is Yusuf Abdurasak. So our two likely candidates selected. And Ahmed Ala Aldin also selected. Mohamed Muntari was selected, but as we saw, withdrawn injured. It was an ankle problem, a torn ligament in his ankle. I think I'm pretty sure it was there. And we have a couple of no, we don't have any added forwards. So that's it. Our forward line, Almoez Ali, Yusuf Abdurasak, and Ahmed Ala Eldin. And Muntari there replaced by, I think, a right winger or a central midfielder. I can't remember. Okay, that is it for the squad. That brings us to our spotlight review, a kind of fun section because we're not dead sure we're going to be right here, but our predictions as to who the starters are going to be. And, well, we are fairly confident that Tintin Marquez will be the manager for this tournament. They won't change their mind at this late stage. Goalkeeper Marcel Barsham, we're quite confident about, so we'll put him in a green highlight if you're watching the video. Central defense, they have a lot of good candidates to choose from, so we are going to just go with a likely level here. Could be a rotation of these three: Tarek Salman, Bulam Kuki, and Lucas Mendez. Now, we have looked at the last 4 games. 2 of those were in November under manager Queiroz, the 2 World Cup qualifying games, and then 2 friendlies. So we're basing some of our guesses, or we're including that information in our predictions here. Lucas Mendez has been involved as a starter, I think, in 3 of the games. Alongside Salman and Kuki. So we think all of them could be involved as starters. Left back, we're confident it is Homem Ahmed as a starter. Right back, Pedro Miguel has kind of reassumed his position, but we're not 100% sure on that, so we're going to go with a likely, putting that in blue rather than green. In the central midfield, we're sure Ahmed Fati will be one of the starters. We think likely Abdulaziz Hatem and Mustafa Mashal will be starting at least some of the games. And on the left wing, Akram Afif may play as a forward, but may play as a left attacking midfielder there. On the right wing, we're a little less sure, but actually, yeah, they seem undecided. But Mustafa Tarek has been showing up there too, or Mustafa Mashal, as well as in the midfield. So 1 + 1 = 2. We're going to put him as a definite starter. We're just not sure whether it will be central midfield or right wing, but we're gonna say he'll definitely start. Forwards, Almoez Ali. Actually, he has sometimes been starting as a right winger too, but we will call him a forward and a definite starter. And then to hedge a little bit, I'm going to put a special mention category. Sorry, I put Almoez Ali in the wrong place. Special mention, players we think will get some starts, and that is Bassam Al-Rawi and Hassan Al-Haydos. We don't think they'll start all the games. In fact, Al-Rawi has started none, which is a bit of a surprise, but I do think we'll see him as a starter in at least a game or two. And Hassan Al-Haydos generally doesn't start all the games. He's the captain of the team. All right, that brings us to the end of the Spotlight review, and actually to the end of part 2, kind of our update mediacast following part 1. And so I hope that prepares you nicely for the cup and helps you to enjoy it more. We'd like to thank Naver Avichan and Pixabay for the wonderful music you hear in this mediacast. The title is called Arabic Trap.